see you all here at our session that is called AI Technologies in Cybersecurity. It is our pleasure to start, and let's start with a small video. Please put the video on. Every minute, the modern world has been getting deeper and deeper into digitization. That makes our life more comfortable. Yet digitization has a reverse side. New technologies have been creating new vulnerabilities. Hack attacks have become more technological. The world economy losses stand at $1.5 trillion even last year. In this situation, artificial intelligence technologies have been coming to the rescue. They have been already successfully implemented in many domains of human life. Will AI become the key response to cyber threats? Really, will artificial become the key response to cyber threats? Together we will try to find the answers to these questions, to this and many other questions. And it is my pleasure to introduce my speakers of this panel. Mr. Mamonov, Deputy Minister for Digital Development, Mass Media and Telecommunications of the Russian Federation. Eden Wu, the General Director of Huawei in Russia. Our guest from Malaysia, Dr. Lu Chuk Yong, Deputy Director of the Innovation Center of the Malaya University, Malaysia. Mr. Sergei Garychev, Deputy Dean for Research and Development of the Physics and Technology Institute. Mr. Lepunov, Deputy Vice President for Information Security of Rostelecom, and he is the General Director of Solar, a private outfit. Mr. Kabatyansky, a professor and an advisor of the President of Skoltech for Science. And Mr. Alexei Natyokin, the General Director of Data Science and a founder of the Open Data Science community, the largest open data science community in the entire Europe. It's my great pleasure to host this discussion. My name is Alexander Vidyakhin. I'm the first Deputy Chairman of the Executive Board in Sberbank. Thank you very much. And let me give a small presentation just to give you an in-depth look into this topic. Well, actually, as we have mentioned, as we said yesterday, and we will keep saying this today, there's a cyber attack every 14 seconds, encrypted viruses, government is attacked, data leaks, the lot. What do we do about this? And what is this coming to? Over $1.5 trillion of losses. Social engineering is expanding by 6% a month. That's a huge figure. Obviously, humans are failing to cope with this huge flood of cyber threats. This is just incredible. AI is coming to the rescue. This would seemingly be an obvious response. AI would seem to be all-powerful, almighty, and it would certainly be able to prevent the malfeasance from committing their crimes. These are the main cybersecurity systems, at least we see AI operating in those systems, at least in Sberbank. There's a lot of good experts in this audience. I'm not going to dwell on each system. It's useful, it's necessary, it's good quality. AI is there, but what exactly is this giving to us? I would like to address this audience and put the first vote on. Dear ladies and gentlemen in the audience, please tell us, what exactly does it mean for you using AI in cybersecurity? Is that a fashionable foible? Is that a good instrument? Is that the best technology to fend off the threats? Or is that another risk and threat? You have the consoles in your seats after the voting mode is put on, and it has been enabled. Please start voting. Interesting. A fashion, 13%, a good instrument, a useful tool, 60%. This is a well-prepared audience, obviously. When we're prepared with the panelists for this discussion, it would be nice, we thought, that the breakdown might change. Say the second tool, the second point is not recognized. Well, people think in equal parts AI to be a fashionable foible and an unnecessary risk and threat. And my first question goes to Mr. Mamonov. Actually, we are saying right now that a strategy is going to be adopted on AI. Over 30 countries have adopted artificial intelligence strategies. And at the same time, all the countries are speaking about cybersecurity. What about this national strategy? What about those approaches, internationally and domestically? What about those approaches? How do they correlate with the approaches to cybersecurity, AI versus cybersecurity? Well, thank you for inviting me. The full audience, good interest in the audience. It looks like Sberbank is really at the cutting edge. And it's not really, I mean, this first item, the fashionable foible, that does not exclude the usefulness of this tool. Any gadget, no matter how fashionable, can be useful. You know, AI has led to this schism in the world. There's the minority that does know what they are doing, and the majority that do know, but that have heard but don't know what it is. So I do understand what it is broadly about, but I'm not a developer. I'm not really, that deep into the topic. So, I mean, definitely the fact that the world has been adopting strategies on AI development, one country after another, and we are working with Sberbank to make sure that the strategy is adopted by the nation's leadership this year. Regardless of where AI takes us, the sheer fact that the discussion has been embraced by the leading technological powers, that makes us compelled to discuss. Marx has famously said that an idea, if it is rife, it is a reality. So, we often hear this phrase that AI is the new electricity, but there is a major difference from electricity, and it is in that electricity does not decide where to go, when to go, what the power supply should be. AI should be doing this, actually, and definitely this balance between delegating the powers to neural network, or AI, no matter how you call it, and opening up this network, increasing its vulnerabilities. This is the balance that all the countries must aim to achieve. I will not dwell on those tried and tested examples of driverless vehicles who must decide who they're going to run over, a granny or a kid, or whether they're going to sacrifice the passengers in the car. Until these ethical issues have been resolved on a regulatory basis, when we actually trust the AI with making certain decisions that used to be in the domain of humans, until then, we can't really say that as a nation we can go anywhere with using this instrument to ensure expert-level decision-making. We can't certainly say that. There's another problem of big data as a whole. Again, it's inextricably linked to the problem of artificial intelligence. This year we have been starting to implement the national strategy for data management, and the data is the food that really feeds the brain of artificial intelligence. And until we understand how we operate the depersonalized big data, we are dead in the water. I mean, if I'm a retail network and I understand through my automated logistics systems what brand I bought, in what volumes and where, and then I start using this data to manufacture my own brands, and I use this, I basically create a non-market competition to push out certain manufacturers from the market. Is this a breach of anti-monopoly legislation? That's a complicated issue. And even here, I mean, it has been taking us a while to move with these issues, and it's going to be very difficult for us to move anywhere with artificial intelligence on a broader scale. I have no doubt that this instrument, this tool, is going to be required, is going to be put to good use by the businesses on the level of certain decisions. But I don't think that in the near future, and I don't know, the future of 150 years, I don't think humans are going to be replaced by AI. But examples have been showing that this tool has been used very well to cure post-traumatic stress disorder in the American army. And perhaps this is the smartest compromise between technology and our preparedness to embrace it. Thank you very much, Mikhail Viktorovich. A good question. AI is making decisions pretty instantly, and who is responsible for these decisions? And I would like to put this question about the responsibility for the decisions adopted by AI. I mean, in cybersecurity, let's step into the complicated social and other issues. In cybersecurity, who is responsible for the decision made by AI? Question to all the panelists. Left to right. Skoltek? Well, I think humans are responsible as always. It just doesn't happen. I mean, it never happened that anyone made decisions instead of the people. For about 40 and maybe 50 years, this program has been in place, doctor assistant, medical assistant. The key thing is the assistant. The key word is the assistant, and I think it's going to be everywhere. Okay, thank you. Yuri Valentinovich? Yes, good morning. You know, this is a really forking, this moral contradiction. Who is responsible? The driver of the Tesla or the autopilot that ran into this truck? We all remember this story of 2 years ago. In cybersecurity, the answer is pretty simple, and it's pretty unassailable. Responsibility is inalienable. The responsibility for the decisions made is vested in the expert in cybersecurity. It's the head of the cybersecurity service. Thank you very much, Mikhail Viktorovich. Okay, I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with my colleagues. We are living in the Russian Federation, and obviously, you know, there is this famous aphorism: every problem has the name, patronymic, and surname, which means someone is responsible. Humans are making those decisions based on the data provided. Okay, it looks like the Russian representatives are pretty unanimous in their opinion. What will the overseas people are going to say? Dr. Lee Chuk-young, who's responsible in your opinion?
Thank you very much for the question. In my opinion, as long as we are constrained ourselves on the focused cyber-physical system, this will be the deadlock that it is difficult to resolve the decision issue. So my humble opinion is we should extend the cyber-physical system to cyber-physical human system, where we have a governance component that operate by human.
Спасибо большое. Aidan Wu.
Okay, Aidan who? Microphone.
So actually, for the decision by AI or the manpower. I think so the AI can efficiently help the people, help the minister to make the decision. It's our opinion.
Спасибо, Сергей Николаевич.
Okay, Sergei Nikolaevich.
Автор.
Well, the authority is certainly given, and the responsibility goes with the authority. When the permission is granted to AI to make decisions, that is the flip side to the responsibility. Okay. Right. Well, that basically is, the responsibility is flowing to your community. Well, I'm not going to make these more lurid. I think the responsibility is vested in the person who sold AI. It is about who sold this rule for the AI, because if AI was sold as a foolproof recipe to cure all problems, then the responsibility is certainly vested with the seller. And then if an employee of an organization sold this, it's obviously an organizational procedure not to sell it as a cure-all. So it looks like the responsibility is fully vested in the humans, no matter how powerful the AI is. Okay, and passing over to the humans, AI is good when the right people put it together and when the right experts are there to operate it. I would like to put a question to Alexei Nikolaevich Garich. In your opinion, what changes should be made to the system of higher education for AI to be developing well in Russia and to be developing well specifically with a stress on cybersecurity? What are the plans and experience of PhysTech, Physics and Technology Institute? Well, it's pretty difficult for me to speak on behalf of the higher education system in general. I would speak on behalf of PhysTech, because in PhysTech, the system of training cannot really be replicated on that greater scale. We can't really say that we can replicate it that broadly. What do we have? We've got three key elements. The first element is instilling the skills of self-learning to our guys, because the volume of information is such that it's pretty impossible to train people in everything that they need to be trained in. And we are saying that it is pretty problematic to make the machine self-learning unless you are able to learn yourself. So this is the first point. The second thing, we like to say that the problem of artificial intelligence arises when humans are short of human intelligence. The second component is obviously specialism. We have good specialisms. We have good experience working with Sberbank. We put together a program back in 2016 with Stanislav Konstantinovich Kuznetsov, the deputy chairman of the Sberbank Executive Board. And in 2016, specialisms were very few. Over the 3 years since, we created quite a few. But this is a dedicated training track for the experts in this, in that. We have a special training track, and we have a special employment track. And this is the only track in PhysTech where you cannot really leave this track. If you're enrolled in the cybersecurity track, you have to graduate from the cybersecurity track. You can't move to physics and mechanics, say. And the third component is we train the students, well, subject to some basic skills, On certain specific major projects, this is one of the pillars that we operate. And in cybersecurity, we take a slightly different approach. Non-deployment of AI. I mean, we are saying that cybersecurity should be there in AI systems. It's not about AI in cybersecurity. It should be cybersecurity in AI. And here we've got three major projects. We bring the best experts to implement them. And the first is led by the lab of Valery Kanievsky. That is the lab operated together with Sberbank. This is mostly hardware. Another lab is led by Shmanov. Mr. Shmanov operates this nanosemantics company. And these are software, hardware solutions. And the third lab is Natalia Kasperskaya's lab. This is the lab that does purely software, Natalia Kasperskaya, and this is all done directly to study cybersecurity issues. These are the three key components.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garchov. But talking about the people again, AI can be a good protection system, but let's think that bad guys, the rogue side, have this AI solutions. And what is the threat of AI for cybersecurity when AI goes rogue? So I have a kind of a provocative question to Alexei Natekin. Alexei, Open Data Science, that thousands of people are gathered there, that these are the experts in AI. And what do you think is the risk, the magnitude of the risk that some parts of your community, some part of AI experts will go rogue and would start to code AI that would be a serious attacker on the protection systems? Yes, it is a provocative question. First, that I would like to say is that since everything is open, and the latest progress in ML was delivered thanks to open frameworks and open research, and all the information is distributed instantaneously. That means that the first step to address the AI issues for cybersecurity is acknowledgement of the thing that, yes, AI is an efficient tool that can be used for good purposes, but from the perspective of cybersecurity, AI can be a tool for protection. I mean, based on what the experts in this field told, AI can be used for that efficiently, for cybersecurity efficiently. It can be used. It can be used as a tool for an attack. As far as I understood from the descriptions of the situation of the tape chatbot, the AI experts, it were AI experts to understand what to want to input into the bot to make sure that this is a racist bot. But anyway, AI is a tool that can become a target for an attack too. And since all this research is open and available, people understand where are the problems, what are these problems, because it is exciting for the researching community. You can attack anything, like you can change several pixels in the video, and the pornographic image will suddenly become I don't know, an image of a fire car or a cat. What can we do what companies can do to protect themselves from the competition? I'm not sure that our community is different in terms of the average indicators of the possibility of some of the experts going rogue. But we made this step of understanding and acknowledging the fact that ML is a good, efficient tool, but it has many loopholes that can be exploited for an attack. Okay, thank you. So open source and open code is a kind of a protection to make sure that the main libraries are not used as a weapon. Am I correct to understand that? That's a very good comment. DEF CON, that's a very famous conference. There is a section there for ML and AI. Despite the fact that it has many papers published with the attacks that really surveyed the attacks of on ML and AI solutions. But there are people who say, you know, really I can change the structure of the data like TensorFlow and PyperChat, and I would have to do nothing really very mathematical to attack an ML solution. But at the same time, everything is open source. So this security community started to contribute and to close the loopholes, and they actually start to educate the researchers to write a better code, because TensorFlow and other things, they are, in terms of security, they have a lot of loopholes and vulnerabilities. And even the Google experts are not that are not creating great products. Yes, PyTorch and other libraries have a lot of loopholes in terms of security. Well, this is something to think about, really, because we use these libraries too. Well, thank you so much for your input. I think that this is a great topic for discussion on a separate panel discussion. I mean, really, we need to understand what actually to do with that, how to address these loopholes and vulnerabilities. But when we talk about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, we obviously have to talk about efficient tools. And it would be interesting to learn the position of the academia and businesses. And perhaps the academia would be the first. And Dr. Luchik Yong will now have the floor. It is my pleasure to give you the floor, sir. And the following question: the AI and cybersecurity are kind of evolving together and developing simultaneously. How do you think this evolution unfolds, and what are the practical, down-to-earth tools that will appear in the nearest future?
Thank you very much for the question again. When we talk about disruptive technology, nowadays AI, the advancement of AI will disrupt the cybersecurity technology, and at the same time, cybersecurity technology will disrupt AI advancement. So this is a co-evolution process that they will reinforce each other. My specialization is neuroscience inspired machine learning. So I would like to share 3 important points that we learn from human brain, maybe can inspire for cybersecurity technology. The 3 inspiration actually from the brain can be applied for cybersecurity system in 3 different levels. First is about prevention and protection. Second is about detection, and the third is about response. First, our brain actually, human brain predicts what is about to see, to hear, and to feel. So we have a prediction capability. So this inspiration can inspire cybersecurity to develop a system, can figure out security flaw, and develop a solution in real time. Human intention is very important because human intention is always one step ahead before any cyber attack trigger. So if we have a system can learn the human intention and predict the human intention, probably we can take precaution steps to avoid cyber attacks. My second point is our brain is able to detect a small change in any learned expectations. This actually will inspire a paradigm shift in cybersecurity. Instead of detection from signature base, we can actually shift to detection based on abnormality detection. because it is very complicated to define very comprehensive signatures. There are too many possibilities. However, it is easier to define, to differentiate normal from abnormal. So as long as we have a baseline for what is normal, then we can detect the changes in the appeal of the normality. My third point is our human brain is evolved through evolution for million years. That's why we have an intelligent brain nowadays. From this idea, we can maybe create a co-evolution platform, a playground for cyber security system that you can simulate cyber defense and cyber attack and let the system evolve throughout the times. So with this method, we can mutually reinforce the defense capability and the attack capability at the same time. For example, we can use the deep reinforcement learning. However, there are many other possible techniques we can use. So this will actually enhance the cybersecurity system at the end by strengthening the muscle of the defense system. So lastly, I would like to share one important note is for any AI system we implement, we must always have a plan B to handle any abnormal behavior of AI system itself. Because in any AI system, there is no possible we know in advance when will it fail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, really interesting. And, well, извините.
Yeah, sorry. Switching to Russian. So yes, thank you very much. A great insight. I'd like to put the question to your Russian counterpart from Skoltech. What applicable research in AI and cybersecurity are the priorities for Skoltech? And could you please talk about some examples of some Skoltech developments that might appear in the nearest future? Thank you. Well, Skoltech is a very young institute. I'd like to say a few words about it. Now, it is a very young institute. We made many mistakes at the earliest stage, but now, thankfully, this earliest stage is over. There were many mistakes that we made. Now we are moving in the right direction, and the data science now is one of our major focus in terms of our scientific interests. Now, Skoltech is 10 research centers and educational centers. So we have departments and students do research, and at the same time we are focused on innovations. The innovations are the backbone. We have a center for data science, for instance. The backbone of this center is AI, but to be more precise, well, since the majority of the employees of these centers are mathematicians, applied mathematicians, we're talking about ML here, of course. Within this ML topic, the following things are a priority. It is a forecasting modeling. I would have to joke, an old Soviet joke, when it was very important. Philosophers or physicians or physicists, who are more important, and what are the differences? The answer is any one of them can explain an event after it happened, but the physical engineers sometimes can even predict something. So we can predict something, yes, but in what areas can we predict it? I think that currently the most important centers that we should focus on in terms of ensuring cybersecurity is in IoT. Because obviously $1.5 trillion, that's a lot. But when we talk about the technological catastrophes, technological disasters, human-made disasters with lives lost, that will be much harsher. And we have an excellent center for wireless connection and IoT. Now, next thing, not in terms of the priority thing, but anyway, the next thing is modeling in healthcare. We have created a small joint lab with Philips. It's now small, perhaps it will grow. Then we are researching ML too for mobile networks. And it is my pleasure to say that on the 1st of July, we opened an AI lab together with Huawei company that would focus on these things. Well, then I will have to say about that. The predictive modeling for finances. The day before yesterday, we had signed an agreement to create a joint lab with Sberbank. Alexei Zaitsev, a young expert but very promising expert, is going to head this lab. But these are just general words. But what do we do? What concrete things do we do? I mean, going back to the survey that we had, what is it? Is it a hype? Well, it is a hype, yes, but it is good. Is it a useful tool? Of course. The best technology for defending from the cyber threats? Well, depends. You know, one of my areas of specialization is something that is not cryptography, but some other things. Like, you know, you send a picture, for instance, and within this picture you have an encoded message for your business partner. So steganography can be caught by machine learning systems. They look at the patterns in these pictures. They say, no, it's not a real picture. It's an artificial picture. It has some secret message within. And as a mathematician, I like precise things. And we confuse some things. We put many more features on this ML, and we say that AI is a part of ML. No, AI is much more than that, and artificial intelligence, I mean, it's still far away from achieving intelligence. ML, well, that's understandable. Machine learning. Machine is learning itself. First, a human teaches the machine, and then the machine learns itself. But when the machine can starts thinking and starts putting tasks, not resolving tasks, when a machine is a full-fledged partner with a developer, it will be an artificial intelligence. But I hope that will not achieve that soon. Yes, and there was a research in AI, and the best forecasters said that we will achieve true artificial intelligence in around 80 years. So we do have some time. In terms of the difference of ML and AI, this is a good argument, really, a good debate. You know, the same debate about the philosophers and physical engineers. And the difference between ML and AI, you know, you can debate the difference between these things for hours. Can I please build on that? Sorry. The strategy that is going to be adopted in our country is very good, but I know at least one country, United Arab Emirates, and they have a ministry they have set a ministry for AI. It has been set up for several years, and they have a minister of AI. Oh, I know this country too. Yeah, it's great that they have this AI ministry. Well, guys, we will create another ministry, you know, just very easily, no problem at all. We will be happy to create a ministry, but it's not the problem, really. Okay, thank you, really great. Moving to the businesses, I'd like to ask a question to Igor Lyapunov, Rostelecom's Vice President for Information Security and General Director of Rostelecom Solar. Mr. Lyapunov, you are responsible for protecting the interests of your customers, how do you use AI in terms of ensuring cybersecurity in your company? Thank you for your question. I am afraid that I would be a little bit less optimistic and I will be a little bit more down to earth in terms of talking about applying AI in cybersecurity. When I talk about AI, obviously processing big data, unstructured data, or the weakly structured lakes of data. This is the topics we're talking about, and sometimes people say that AI might become a tool to detect and respond to cyber attacks. But let's have a deep dive here. AI is obviously based on this function, which is called learning, something that we discussed right now. Several years ago, the AI scientists made a great leap forward when a neural network, the ML system, was able to discern a cat from a dog based on the picture. It was a great neural network and it was a great leap forward. Now let's look at cybersecurity. Learning. Right now, unfortunately, there is a very small amount of attacks where we can take a pattern to understand the template to feed it to the system so it can learn. Unfortunately, we cannot demonstrate to the AI system that, okay, this is a cat, try to understand that it is a cat next time. Unfortunately, we do not have the answer to the question that we can feed to this ML system. And we cannot really say, okay, these are the attacks, please detect it. And that's a fundamental problem. We do not have a proper selection, we do not have a proper patterns that we can feed to the AI solution so it can make decisions. The second thing is that the detection of cyber attacks is directly related to the darknet research and the research of malware and the attack tools that are being used. And from the perspective of these two factors, we cannot say that AI is a silver bullet for detecting cyber attacks, or even an efficient system to detect cyber attacks. Where it can be applied and where we use it, well, these are more of a local, applicable, down-to-earth tasks related to the analysis of behavior of users, of systems, and detecting deviations and abnormalities from this standard behavior. It is an attribute that is fed to the analysts, and they are working with that, and they detect attacks. The second area where it can be applied are various anti-fraud systems, preventing money laundering or some other fraud operations. The normal behavior of the system, normal behavior of the users, well, it is known by the system, and then they detect the abnormalities from this pattern, from this behavior. And I would like to underline that several tasks that can be resolved by AI right now. Well, I talked about anti-fraud, anomaly detection, and perhaps detection of vulnerabilities that can be somehow algorithmized, put into algorithms, and to say to the system that these are the factors to make the right decision. As for other cases, I think it's more of a hype, it's more of a marketing that the IT vendors use and leverage when they use ML and AI to describe some quite simple operations that are based on statistical selections, statistical templates, or correlation rules. Because, ML is a more expensive, more cool term to describe these operations, these mundane operations sometimes. Yes, resolving some specific individual tasks in cybersecurity is possible through AI. But talking about AI as a tool as a proper full-fledged tool to address cybersecurity issues, well, it will be like in 5-10 years perhaps. Thank you so much, Mr. Lyapunov. It's great that we have this difference of opinion on the panel, but what should we need to do to decrease this period from 5 to 10 years to 3 to 5 years, for instance? Well, we are now focusing largely on researching the types of attacks. We're researching the darknet, and we are kind of trying to develop this predictive feature that would help to use this analysis of attacks and vulnerabilities to make the decision making process for the analysts easier. And these are the things that we focus on to understand, to help AI understand what is cyber attack and what is not a cyber attack.
Okay, thank you. There's food for thought. And we're now continuing the questions to the businesses. But before we keep going with those, I would like to contact the floor. And why don't we show the hands if you have a Huawei phone? Sir, do you have a Huawei phone? Aiden, do you have a Huawei phone? Aiden, Huawei phone? Yeah. Right, at least 2 people on this panel. Right, my question to Aiden Wu. Could you tell me, how do you protect your users in cybersecurity? And how do you use artificial intelligence to operate this defense? And while Aiden is preparing the answer, I would like to say that the people who rose their hands, you know, when we sell Huawei phones in Russia, we have a Sberbank Online web application pre-installed on Huawei phones, and it has an inbuilt antivirus software.
So thank you, Alexander. So not so much for Huawei's devices, but I think in coming future will be more. So thank you for your support. So actually, as you know, with the development of digital transformations to the process in the various industries, so the technologies such as 5G, IoT, and cloud will provide the network access to more beginnings to smart devices such like the Huawei's terminal and the Apple terminals such like this. So it means the boundaries of internet are going larger and larger. The more connection we have, the higher the chance we could be attacked. So this is why the levels of cybersecurity will be more serious. For example, for Huawei the case, Huawei have deployed our own IT systems, more than the 17 data centers, more than the 800 application system on the 150 countries. So which is the system, the IT system, but can you imagine how many times our IT systems attacked per month? Can you imagine? More than 10 billion times per month, with average of 200 times per minute. So it's this is a very rare threat that nobody can invade. Nobody can invade. So how can Huawei address the problem and the issue? So we set up the 3 layers the cybersecurity, the defense the system. The first is we use the productions, the cybersecurity production to prevent the 90% the cyber attacks. And the second is we use the very professional cybersecurity, the expert team, and this team where they quickly detected the issue, the attacks, and to solve it. It's the second part, the name. But if the attack passed the 2 layers, how can we do? If they passed the 2 layers, the accurate the dedications should they take a lot of the time and the big cost. So we use the AI technology. I would like to share you the 2 cases. For example, for the I think everyone's aware the phishing emails. Phishing emails, we can use the AI technology and to dedicate 40% the phishing email linking. And then it means we can savings half the manpower, the cost. And the second, so AI technology they helped us to improve our efficiency and also to help us to make the decision. Also, for people, everybody, we have the experience we have the friend the group. If we have a friend the group, when a stranger enters the friend the group, and so the members of the group were alerted. It's a stranger. It's not our the familiar the guys. So the machine can do the same thing, just like the people. They can create a friend, the friend such a friend the group, and if some of the unusual activity that happen, and then the AI and the machine can directly and told the network administrator, and so they help remind the experts to solve the problem and find the problem. So this is the 2 cases and can give us the benefit and to improve the efficiency and the work also can save a lot of the cost, a lot of the money. So with Huawei, the company, the top priority is the cybersecurity and the privacy, the protection. It's the top the priority of our global company. So we commit in order to follow it. So we must do these 3 things. The one thing, so we set up the board level, the cybersecurity, the committee to follow to implement our the cybersecurity strategy. The second, we built the end-to-end the cybersecurity the system to integrate from the terminal, R&D, and the network, and the cloud, and the service, and the end-to-end the cybersecurity. And more important, we have already decided to invest the $2 billion in 5 years, $2 billion US in 5 years to improve the software engineering the capability. So let's look back the Russia. In Russia, there are a lot of the AI and the software tenants. So we were set up the new R&D center in Russia, and increase the investment in AI technology. Just our colleagues said, we have already cooperated with a lot of some of the university and the institute, research institute. So we hope we can cooperate our Russian industry and to set up a very the secure and secure and the reliable the intelligent world. Thank you.
Спасибо большое. Думаю, что все клиенты Huawei стали чувствовать себя.
Thank you very much. I think all the customers of Huawei have started to feel even more secure. We have about 5 minutes of our session remaining, and I would like to ask this audience to have another vote. A vote on the same question, the very same question that we answered 55 minutes ago. It's very interesting to understand how the opinion of the audience changed, because it was a pretty polarized voting outcomes, set of voting outcomes. Fashionable foible, a useful tool, another technology the best technology to fend off threats, another unnecessary risk and threat. These are the options to call what using artificial intelligence and cybersecurity might be for us. It's very interesting to understand what the change in the audience's opinion will be. And there we have it. Well, what can I say? There's an increasing number of pessimists in this audience, and this is an unexpected outcome for all the moderators. I was convinced that the outcomes are going to be different. Well, nonetheless, that might actually be the right thing. We started thinking whether this is hype or not. So I would like to ask the panelists to comment on the outcomes. Again, what is your feeling after this panel? Again, 30 seconds for each. Please use the microphone. Well, I think if people understand that this is a foible, that this is a fashion, well, I think if people started to think that this is fashionable, this is good. They're going to come home and they're going to start. This can be used and how they can teach other people to use this. An unnecessary threat? Well, it means that people understand that this is no longer a threat. I mean, I'm glad to see this outcome. Well, I think our discussion really came to the conclusion that artificial intelligence is not going to replace us anytime soon. But on a serious note, machine learning technologies and neural networks are one way or another the tools to ensure cybersecurity and to identify certain threats. And this is going to accelerate. This is a trend that's going to accelerate. And the more it accelerates, we're going to start using it more. And you, as cybersecurity experts, are going to just keep those developments on your radar, okay? Well, I think the key factor of this vote was the set of remarks by the representative of Rostelecom, who delineated clearly using AI as an instrument, as a tool to fend off cyber attacks, and as a tool to ensure security and sustainability of the society. I mean, the only limitation is the human intelligence. It's not difficult to cut out a wheel. I think the most difficult thing was, when inventing the wheel, was to understand that it's going to be moving vehicles. Okay?
I'm rather optimistic in this situation because there's definitely a big difference between AI and human intelligence in terms of the technology, the components and the technology. Human brain works in definitely different way from AI. So currently, but we can leverage on what can AI do the best for human, and let the human brain do the best for AI. I think this is the most what you call middle way that we can go.
So, AI technology is, I think, is our future, and he will bring a lot of the benefits to the people. But maybe have another question, another opinions about maybe where this strengthen the human society. But how can you control it? If we can make the good the principle, and we can they follow and develop the good the technology, I think AI can help us the more more activity, and more lively for our society. Thank you.
Самое главное, что
Well, the important thing is that the majority, plus or minus 60%, think that this is a good tool. And the difference, 33% one way or another, is a statistical error. That's a margin of error. Everything else is just comments. Well, I think all the answers are pretty accurate, with different accuracies, with different probabilities of accuracy. I don't really have to add anything. It can be a fashionable foible just to run up the price. You know, commercial benefit is always there to chase. Sometimes it's useful. And if you're an informed insider, no artificial intelligence is going to help you chase an an informed insider. I think all the answers are good answers. It's just that they are valid in different situations. Okay, thank you very much. Next year, at the 3rd Cybersecurity Congress, I'm pretty confident that we are going to discuss the topics of cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, their interrelations, and we will be finding it very interesting to look at how those relations are playing out. My great vote of thanks to all the panelists, to all the audience. I think this was an interesting and a lively discussion. Thank you very much, and have a good day at the Congress.